Area 11E, Life in Undermountain. Alas, the frescoes now depict what may not be glory but regret. The dwarven lord seems to chase Mithral through the depths, obsessed and determined to purge all infestations from Undermountain. Drow, duergar, beholders. His end, curiously enough, is not depicted. To the DM, stone panels set into the west and east walls of this 20-foot-high room bear frescoes and dwarvish runes that tell of King Malaire's obsession with Mithral. The discovery of vast veins of that metal in the sea deeps, beneath what is today Mount Waterdeep, is recorded, as is Malaire's determination to rid Undermountain of its infestations of beholders, duergar, and drow. When the characters first enter this room, ghostly orbs of light arranged like the eyes of a beholder appear in the middle of the room. This spectral display is one of Hallister's harmless regional effects. See Hallister's lair actions, and lasts for 1 minute. Area 11, King's Walk. The following descriptions are written assuming the party goes through Areas 11A-11E sequentially. To dwarven characters, these chambers should hold great value, if not for them, then for their people. This interconnected series of rooms tells the story of King Malaire's life and art. The duergar have looted each chamber. Area 11A, Training Years. Frescoes on the wall chronicle the birth of a dwarven lord. Beside his crib are gathered weather-worn parents and unimpressed visitors, but below the earth a divine figure watches with great interest. As the years progress, the dwarf enters into a great struggle, first as a brewer, then as a metalsmith, and last as a stone carver. The dwarvish reads, "The birth of Malaire, neither time nor gods can turn his glory into dust." To the DM, stone pillars support a series of stone arches beneath a 30-foot-high domed ceiling. Stone panels set into the walls bear frescoes and dwarvish runes. The frescoes chronicle the birth of Malaire, a common shield dwarf, and his early years struggling as a brewer, metalsmith, and stone carver. Area 11B, Prospecting Years. The frescoes here continue to chronicle this mighty dwarf's life. In one image, he works to build a bridge over raging waters. In another, he and a sun elf share tea and mead together. Others show him prospecting for ore and gems in the hills and hiding from rampaging orcs. The last shows him locked in a deadly battle with a wyvern, his warpick about to pierce the beast's skull. To the DM, stone panels set into the north and south walls bear frescoes and dwarvish runes. 3 objects are displayed on stone blocks in the middle of the room, each encased under glass. A 4th display has been plundered, its glass broken and its object stolen. 3 historical objects are on display here: a rusty iron trowel that Malaire used to spread mortar, the claw of a wyvern, and an orc's split helm. The duergar stole the 4th item, a golden gauntlet of elven design. It can be found in Area 15A. The frescoes depict Malaire's early exploits as a prospector, building a bridge over a river, meeting his first elf, prospecting for ore and gems in caves and foothills, hiding from orcs, and fighting a wyvern. In each scene, he is joined by a small company of dwarf prospectors. 11C Coronation. The frescoes here depict the same dwarf discovering veins of mithral beneath the mountain, and in droves other dwarves flock to these underhalls to crown him king. There in that hall they offered him gifts and praise. The dwarvish reads, "With mithral found, Malaire called for kith and kin to share this wealth, to come to these halls, to Malairebode. They called him king, and he called them family." To the DM, stone panels set into the west and south walls bear frescoes and dwarvish runes. 6 stone pedestals stand before the frescoes, surrounded by shattered glass. The frescoes show Malaire, a shield dwarf prospector, discovering veins of mithral under a mountain and sharing the wealth with kith and kin. It shows dwarves flocking to the underhalls of Malairebode, the subsequent formation of the Malairekin clan, Malaire's coronation as king of the clan, and the gifts given to the newly acclaimed king by various dwarf families in attendance. The duergar smashed the glass cases atop the pedestals and stole all the items on display. The items here were gifts given to King Malaire during his coronation, the same gifts represented in the frescoes. Characters who examine the frescoes can ascertain what was stolen: a gem-studded cloak, an onyx smoking pipe, a fist-sized diamond, a red crystal tankard, and a golden belt with an obsidian buckle and studs. These items can all be found in Area 15A. Area 11D, Cradle and Crown. Here the frescoes show the dwarven lord with his lady wife and children, and their children's children, all with the blood of a king. The dwarvish reads, "Might they carry the torch with pride, long after great King Malair has become one with the mountain." Stone panels set into the north and east walls bear frescoes and dwarvish runes. Resting atop a marble bier in the middle of the room is a carved stone rocking cradle. The frescoes depict Malair spending time with his wife, their children, and their children's descendants. The cradle weighs 500 pounds and is an art object worth 2,500 GP. It contains a 2-foot-long statue of a swaddled dwarf infant sleeping soundly. A detect magic spell reveals an aura of transmutation magic around the statue of the dwarf infant. Treasure. If the infant statue is removed from the cradle, it transforms into a crystal crown, 250 GP, that reflects color as a prism does. This crown is needed to activate 2 of Hallister's gates, on level 8 in Area 18B and on level 11 in Area 11A. Area 11E, Life in Undermountain. Alas, the frescoes now depict what may not be glory but regret. The dwarven lord seems to chase Mithral through the depths, obsessed and determined to purge all infestations from Undermountain. Drow, duergar, beholders. His end, curiously enough, is not depicted. To the DM, stone panels set into the west and east walls of this 20-foot-high room bear frescoes and dwarvish runes that tell of King Malair's obsession with Mithral. The discovery of vast veins of that metal in the sea deeps, beneath what is today Mount Waterdeep, is recorded, as is Malair's determination to rid Undermountain of its infestations of beholders, duergar, and drow. When the characters first enter this room, ghostly orbs of light arranged like the eyes of a beholder appear in the middle of the room. This spectral display is one of Hallister's harmless regional effects, see Hallister's lair actions, and lasts for 1 minute. Area 12, Mithral Thieves. Any creatures that escaped from Area 7 regroup here and will make a final stand in this area, the features of which are as follows. The south wall bears a lavish carving of a mountain, beneath which a large stylized eye looks down on a line of dwarf warriors. 5 enlarged duergar occupy the 10-foot spaces in front of the carving, examining the mithral filigree. 2 Zorn stand watch in the middle of the hall, feeding on discarded mithral fragments. The door to the north has been reduced to rubble, creating an open passageway. The occupants of this area are tenuous allies. The duergar attack anyone they don't recognize, and the Zorn assist as best they can. If the duergar are defeated, the Zorn disengage from combat on their next turn and flee by burrowing into the walls. If the Zorn escape, the characters can encounter them again in other nearby chambers at your discretion. The Zorn become indifferent toward characters who feed them gems and precious metals. Treasure. The carving on the south wall is inlaid with mithral filigree. Ambitious characters can strip a total of 20 pounds of mithral from the walls. One character can strip 1 pound of mithral in 15 minutes. Each pound of the metal is worth 50 GP. Area 13, High Priest's Chambers. The duergar ransacked this room but left a few treasures behind. The room has the following features. Scattered about the room are the remains of a bed, an armoire, a desk, and a chair. Scrolls. Heaped around the broken desk are hundreds of torn-up scrolls, all bearing religious sermons. A secret door in the east wall opens into a dusty, cobweb-filled corridor that connects to Area 14. Characters inside the tunnel can spot the secret door at either end of it without having to make a check. Treasure. A spell scroll of mass cure wounds is buried under the pile of torn-up sermons next to the desk. A character who searches the pile finds it automatically. Area 14, Grand Vestibule. The walls of this area are roughly hewn to give the room a cavern-like appearance. The glow from 4 quartz pillars reflects off flecks of quartz embedded in the walls. The double doors to the south are engraved with the image of a mountain with a gem-shaped indentation at its core, the symbol of Dumatuan. The edges of the indentation serve as handles that enable the doors to be pulled open. A secret door in the east wall opens into a dusty, cobweb-filled corridor that connects to Area 13. Characters inside the tunnel can spot the secret door at either end of it without having to make a check. The first time a creature passes between the quartz pillars to the north, a booming, disembodied voice says in Dwarvish, "Neither secrets nor treasures shall ye find. Turn back, ye are not welcome here." Characters who have heard Hallister speak recognize the voice as his. Once all creatures leave this area, the magical warning resets. Area 15. Temple of Dumathwan. What this place is can only be described as a temple to the gods, to one god in particular. Quartz pillars shed their queer ivory light. Duergar lean against these pillars, nursing their wounds while one dwarfess, notably tanner than her brethren, paces about the room. Her dwarvish cussing floats out like sheet music. The nave of this temple leads to a dais of golden marble. Behind it stand black basalt doors, flanked by glowing pillars of ivory light. Its lintel bears a bas-relief carving of a mountain with a gem at its heart. For all its beauty, death is still here. The stench of blood and brain matter stains the very air, and you can make out 4 corpses on the dais, beaten to bloody pulps. It's been about 2 days since the Iron Eye raiders came to this place, and it shows. Many are shell-shocked and broken. All are desperate. Well over a dozen of their dear comrades have been murdered by those invisible entities. Skella, for her part, feels emboldened, for during that doomed foray towards the dais, she quickly read the dwarvish inscriptions upon the basalt doors. Armed with the knowledge that she needs the hand of a dwarf king, she's sent her agents scouring the lost level for King Malaire's tomb. She wastes no time enlisting the adventurers in this search, promising peace even after the heart of the mountain is opened. Role-playing Skella. Other half-duergar may feel the need to prove themselves to their kin, but not Skella. While she's as dour as most, she doesn't hide her obsession for artistry and beauty. Despite the onslaught facing her men, she's done a remarkable job of holding them, and herself, together. Being lawful, she's a duergar of her word, and keeps up her end of all bargains. Hallister's game. Shortly after the adventurers arrive to this area, an invisible stalker murders a duergar. Read, a dwarf's shriek pierces the quiet, but it's soon cut short as its esophagus is ripped out through its mouth by an invisible hand. The duergar takes 2 steps before falling dead, vomiting up blood and entrails. His brethren swear, cuss, scream, and loudly appeal to the gods for mercy. One dwarf, you notice, even rocks in a fetal position, quietly crying to himself. Fear. Fear does awful things to a man. To the DM, other dwarves. Only the hand of a dwarven king can open these basalt doors, and thus you can reveal this secret lineage to a dwarf player character when they touch it. Perhaps they are the last in a long line. If they were a prince or princess, perhaps their mother or father has passed away since they delved into Undermountain and, coronated or not, the title has passed down to them. That was from the companion. Now I'll read from the original dungeon of the Mad Mage so you can make your own synergy of the material. This huge chamber has been sculpted to resemble a cavern with a 30-foot-high vaulted ceiling. Area 15A Nave. 8 duergar plus their leader, a half-shield dwarf, half-duergar named Skella Irinai, are scattered throughout the area. 2 cloakers flap above them, circling the nave at a height of 20 feet. The cloakers consider the duergar their allies. Glowing quartz pillars stand around the temple perimeter, carved to look like natural columns. The glowing pillars have the appearance of buttresses, but only the 4 stone pillars in the middle of the nave support the roof. At the south end of the temple, stone steps climb 10 feet to a golden marble dais, Area 15B. Although her mother was a shield dwarf, Skella has the statistics of a duergar with 40 hit points. She is also attuned to a magic dagger that gives her blind sight out to a range of 30 feet. See treasure below. When Skella and her duergar subordinates climbed to the top of the dais, the altar there released a clay golem that attacked them. See Area 15B. 4 duergar were smashed to a pulp before Skella realized that their weapons were having no effect on the golem. She ordered her remaining forces to fall back, whereupon the golem withdrew to the altar once more. Skella is prepared to let the adventurers take a crack at defeating the golem, so that she can find out what lies beyond the basalt doors. When the characters arrive, she tries to forge a truce with them, promising them safe passage through the lost level if they defeat the golem and depart the temple. Being lawful, she is inclined to uphold her end of the agreement as long as the characters don't cross her. Treasure. Skella wears a gem-studded cloak fit for a king, worth 750 GP and stolen from Area 11C. Fastened to her belt in plain view is a small gold figurine of a female elf holding up a symbol of the sun, 25 GP. This figurine is the key to opening the arch gate in Area 27. Tucked in a sheath strapped to Skella's right boot is a dagger of blind sight. The magic dagger was stolen from the hobgoblin warlord Azrock on level 3 and is the subject of a potential side quest. See side quest, retrieve Azrock's dagger. The dagger has a saw-toothed edge and a black pearl nested in its pommel. 2 other duergar carry treasures plundered from the other areas of this level in gray, soot-stained sacks. The sacks contain the other items stolen from Area 11 CE, an onyx smoking pipe, 75 GP, a fist-sized diamond, 1000 GP, a red crystal tankard, 250 GP, an elf warrior's golden gauntlet, 250 GP, and a golden belt with an obsidian buckle and studs, 250 GP. Area 15B, dais, corpses. 4 mutilated duergar corpses are sprawled on the steps of the dais, altar and statues. A clay altar is flanked by 10-foot-tall statues of dwarves outfitted in ceremonial purple and gold armor and eyeless helms. The statues are impressive-looking but harmless. Basalt doors. At the back of the dais stands a set of double doors made of carved black basalt, flanked by 2 glowing quartz pillars. Above the double doors is a bas-relief carving of a mountain with a gem at its heart, the symbol of Dumatuan. The altar is a block of clay 7 feet long, 4 feet wide, and 3 feet high. When any creature moves within 20 feet of it, an 8-foot-tall clay golem with dwarf-like proportions erupts from an extra-dimensional space inside the altar. The golem can exit or enter the altar as an action. The altar is impervious to damage. The golem can't be reasoned with. It enters the altar again only if it perceives no threats on the dais. If it goes berserk, the golem abandons its role as guardian and leaves the dais in pursuit of fleeing creatures. If the characters defeat the golem or lure it away, any duergar in the temple sees the chance to approach the black basalt doors and inspect them more closely. These matte black doors are impervious to damage and held shut by a power that neither magic nor force can overcome. The doors appear to absorb all light, but a close inspection reveals dwarvish inscriptions carved into them that translate as follows. It is the will of the keeper of secrets under the mountain that only the hand of the king may open these doors. Let all who enter gaze upon the heart of Melerbode and know the true power of dwarven kind. Any character who succeeds on a DC 20 intelligence, history, check, knows that Melerbode is the name of the ancient dwarven realm beneath Mount Waterdeep, whose underhalls were the foundations of Undermountain. If the hand of a living or dead dwarf king is pressed against either door, both doors swing slowly inward, revealing Area 16 beyond. The characters can find such an appendage in King Meler's true tomb, Area 29F. If the doors are touched by anything other than the hand of a dwarf king, the symbol of Dumathuan above the double doors casts a Bigby's hand spell. The shimmering hand created by the spell has 80 hit points and a +6 bonus to initiative. See the spell description for the hand's other statistics. On each of its turns, this hand flies up to 60 feet and makes 1 clenched fist attack against a random creature on the dais. The spell has a duration of 1 minute. It can be triggered repeatedly, though a new hand can't come forth until an existing one is gone. Roll 20. Note: we have created a token to use for the Bigby's hand so the GM can move it around the tabletop. Please roll manually based on the spell description to handle its clenched fist attack. 16. Heart of the Mountain. The basalt doors open upon a carved chamber veined with glittering mithral. A tapestry depicting a dwarven kingdom under a mountain hangs from the ceiling. This very place is suffused with power, almost tangible to the hand and sharp to the soul, a power best described not as oppressive but glorious. Hallister's Game. Reaching this sacred place represents the crux of Skella's desperate mission, but there's one last twist, imposed by the Mad Mage. Read the following. The Mad Mage's voice thunders across the temple, shaking every stone. Secrets lost have been found again, and here at the heart of Undermountain, you have but one last trial. Attune to the heart, Iron Eye. Attune and ask of your people's future in this realm, my realm. Skella instinctively knows she can cast divination in this room. Attunement, however, takes an hour, and during that time, invisible stalkers and a gray slaad attack the duergar, pitting the dwarves into a desperate last stand until Skella can divine this answer. The players can lend their strength to the last stand. This is especially preferable if none of the adventurers are dwarves. If they don't and leave the area, then off-camera, Skella succeeds but at the cost of nearly 3/4 of her men. If the adventurers do stick around, then a total of 3 waves assail these forces over the course of an hour. 2 invisible stalkers at a time with a gray slaad at the rear, using fireball and fear spells. The stalkers fight without concern for their survival, but the slaad retreats whenever it takes half its hit points. It relies on its regeneration feature to heal. In between waves, an invisible stalker picks off a duergar here or there before vanishing. The gray slaad is the one described in Area 32 and appears in the form of the Mad Mage. If it was already slain, use either of the 2 gray slaadi from Area 36C, a vision of the future. The question Skella asks upon casting divination is, what fate awaits my people? What Skella sees is up to you, but suggestions include the party's betrayal, forcing her to attack them, or Hallister slaughtering Clan Iron Eye as punishment for not killing the adventurers. If the party has been exceptionally loyal or kind to her and her men, and she made a deal with them, she warns them to go now before she changes her mind. Other dwarves. The heart of the mountain is an excellent opportunity for both role-playing and character development. If another dwarf attunes to the heart and casts divination, you can broaden it to include the past. A dwarf character could finally learn the truth of his brother's death, his father's infidelity, or any other great personal mysteries of their lives. If any of the player characters are dwarves, you'll want to refresh yourself on their history, or encourage the player to expand on it. Okay, now let's compare that from the material in the original module. The Malerkin dwarves carved this 20-foot-high room out of the rock at the point they believed was the heart of their subterranean realm. The features of this room are as follows. The black basalt doors leading to the dais, Area 15B, have handles on this side and are easily pulled open from within. Thin veins of mithral spread across the hewn walls, looking like gleaming cracks in the stone. A huge tapestry depicting a dwarven kingdom under a mountain hangs from an iron rail and spans the south wall. The tapestry is so old that it begins to crumble if any attempt is made to handle or move it. A tall oval mirror is mounted on the east wall. Carved into its stone frame are dozens of lidless eyes, and the following phrase in common: "The gate cannot hide from those it cannot see." While in this room, dwarf characters can sense the immense weight of the mountain gently pressing down on them, and realize subconsciously that they can attune to this room as though it were a magic item. A legend lore spell or similar magic reveals that this room sits at the heart of the mountain, and that the Malerkin dwarves came here to learn secrets and receive divine guidance. While attuned to the room and inside it, a dwarf can cast the divination spell at will. Answers provided by the spell come from an unknown source. Perhaps the keeper of secrets under the mountain, perhaps the mountain itself. Too many castings of the spell in a short amount of time can lead to false readings, as noted in the spell's description. Creatures that finish a short or long rest in this chamber absorb some of the strength of the mountain around them and gain 10 temporary hit points, or 20 temporary hit points if the creature is a dwarf. Once a creature gains this benefit, it can't do so again until the next dawn, and then only after finishing a short or long rest. Mirror Gate to Level 10. The mirror is one of Hallister's gates. See Gates in Dungeon Features. Its rules are as follows. The gate opens for 1 minute when an invisible creature stands directly in front of the mirror. Characters must be 11th level or higher to pass through this gate. See Jasira Kestelharp in Undermountain Secrets. The first creature to pass through the gate triggers an Elder Rune. See Elder Runes in Dungeon Features. A creature that passes through the gate appears in Area 4B on Level 10, in the closest unoccupied space next to the identical gate located there. 17. Priest's Study. This room was once a quiet study space for deacons of the temple, but it has been ransacked by the duergar. This area contains the following features. Statuettes that once stood in shallow niches along the walls lie toppled and shattered on the floor. An alabaster diorama that depicted a meeting between elves and dwarves has been smashed to pieces, along with the stone table on which it once rested. A stone desk has been broken in two, its chair knocked over and cracked. That was from the original module. Now for the text from the companion. The helmed horrors here understand Dwarvish but can't speak. But let's just change that, shall we? When they attack, one shouts in a hollow, ringing voice, "You dare seek the secrets of Dumathwan? Then take them!" in Dwarvish. Reward the player that recognizes this allusion to World of Warcraft with inspiration. Area 18. Hemisphere of Horrors. This hemispherical chamber has a 30-foot-high domed ceiling and contains the following. 2 helmed horrors of dwarven stature wield battle axes instead of longswords and stand in front of the doors to Area 19. The room is brightly lit by 4 quartz pillars. The helmed horrors won't attack dwarves, including duergar, except in self-defense. They stand aside when approached by any dwarf, allowing those creatures to enter Area 19 freely. Other creatures that approach the helmed horrors are attacked. The helmed horrors understand Dwarvish but can't speak. 19. Mountain Shrine. 4 statues representing the dwarven deities Moradin, god of creation, Baranar Truesilver, god of hearth and home, Clangedin Silverbeard, god of battle, and Martha Morduin, god of exploration, stand in niches at the corners of this room. Lying at the foot of Clangedin Silverbeard's statue is a tiny, tapered cylinder of worked brass, the mouthpiece for the tuba in Area 40. Area 20. Wall of Gemstones. Carved into the northeast wall is a fresco that depicts dwarves tossing gems into the mouth of a giant zorn. Treasure. The gemstones in the fresco are real and can be pried from the wall with a knife or similar tool. 6 banded agates, 10 GP each, 9 moss agates, 10 GP each, 4 carnelians, 50 GP each, 3 citrines, 50 GP each, and an amethyst, 100 GP, can be acquired. We hope you've enjoyed this video and found it useful. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to keep up with our new videos to level up your campaign. Special thanks to Wyatt Troll for writing his amazing companion, available at dmsguild.com, which this video is based on. We strongly recommend getting the complete edition. We couldn't imagine running any of the campaign without it.